Today we're going to be talking about the appositive phrase. The appositive phrase is another one of those writing Legos that we could add into our writing and make writing a little bit better. The appositive phrase works really well when we need to describe something and we want to give a little bit more detail. And adding one or two a paragraph is a pretty good way to go. Our essential question is, how can I give more information about a subject? Now, when I say subject, I mean the subject of our sentence. It doesn't have to be the subject. It could also be a noun used later on, but an appositive phrase is a noun or a noun phrase that renames another noun next to it. So it renames a person, place, or thing. For example, we have Stephen is learning to write. If we want to give more information for Stephen, we could put a couple of commas next to it and say, Stephen, a new student, is learning to write. So we could add in a whole new subject right next to it, and it's a really good way of providing some description to what we're talking about. So here the new student replaces the subject before it. Now, when you write out in a positive phrase, it is a subject, but like our normal subjects in our sentences, it could have nouns and verbs and modifiers and prepositional phrases and participle phrase, all that kind of stuff. So we could put all kinds of good stuff in there. The other example we're taking a look at, Mr. Holsworth, the crazy English teacher, gave an assignment. So anytime you want to give more description, you could just go through and put a more descriptive subject next to a noun. Outside of appositive phrases, let's take a minute to review some of the other sentence Legos that we have. Okay, so the most common one is just modifiers. These are just the one-word adjectives and adverbs that we use to describe a lot of different things in our sentences. We have a sentence here: the teacher threatened his class with hours of detention. Okay, well, that's a sentence. It works. But by adding in adjectives and adverbs, we can say the completely psychotic English teacher horrifically threatened his terrified 8th grade class with long, boring hours of mind numbing detention. So much better. Add in those descriptive words. You can just, when you're going through and after you finish your writing, start taking a look. Where could I put in some good describing words, some good modifiers to get more details about what we're talking about? Usually you could find spots to put at least 10 in a paragraph. That will help to make your paragraph stronger. So when you're going through and you're reviewing your paragraphs, look for opportunities just to put these little Legos in there. It's like, you know what? I could put a little bit more description here on this one point and just put in a word there. Prepositional phrases is probably one of the best Legos that we have. And we should have at least 6 per paragraph. To be honest, you probably already have 6 prepositional phrases in your paragraph, and you could probably put more. Remember, prepositions deal with relationships between different things, like in time, location, how they deal with each other, things like that. So you could add in prepositional phrases at the beginning of your sentence, in the middle of the sentence, at the end of your sentence, on to other prepositional phrases. For example, we have right here, our base sentence is just, tell me a sentence. And we added on the prepositional phrases, while you are writing, tell me a sentence about your day to help your grade as extra credit. You could add prepositional phrases in very easily all over the place. Pull up a list of prepositions. You got tons of good ones on the internet. And just look for opportunities like, you know what, I could add a little bit more detail here, a little bit more detail here, and add in those phrases to help you out. Then we have the participle phrase. You don't want to have too many participle phrases. 1 or 2 per paragraph is plenty. Okay, 2 per paragraph is probably kind of the high end of how much you should have. So when you look at participle phrases, it's when you have those action words, those verbs, but they're modifying. They're acting like they're adjectives or adverbs. So the teacher, annoyed by his class forgetting reviewed phrases. Okay, annoy is a verb, and when we say the teacher annoyed, it's a verb used to describe the teacher. Or we could say, writing as fast as they could, the students tried to ignore the crazy teacher. So remember that participle phrase we could put in at the start of the sentence, we could put in the middle of the sentence. We're just going to use it to describe something, and we're going to use that verb phrase, whether it's past tense or present tense, whether it's with the ed or ing, and use that to kind of help us get a couple more phrases in there. And what it really does is it makes our writing feel a little bit richer, makes it feel a little bit stronger. It's not hard. None of these things, whether it's regular modifiers, participle phrase, prepositional phrase, or positive phrase, they're just little tricks that we could just plug right into our paragraph that makes it seem a little bit stronger.